and actually observe the laboratory environment. So for me, this project was partly again to connect it to my research group, but also to kind of, and then also the ethical investigations of the sort of social and cultural taboos surrounding the use of bodily tissue and things like that, but also using human tissue for ornamentation, those sorts of things, but also from a logistical perspective to kind of see what is required to get clearance to be able to do a project like this where you're having surgical interventions of the body and working with participants. Another aspect was, of course, also to kind of engage people that wouldn't usually have access to these technologies into an experience of being in the lab and being able to work both in a scientific capacity but also in a creative capacity with these technologies. And then to have those artworks that are the jewelry pieces given to them so that they actually wear them in an everyday context. So that it was also about not having it in a gallery environment, but having it in a setting which would be more social, so that you could kind of have like lunch and your friend might go, hey, that's an interesting brooch, and then you could start that conversation about the experience in the lab. So it was kind of about finding other ways of disseminating that kind of experience. So that's sort of, I guess, the main summary of that work, and it gives you a little bit of an idea. And that's really what I'm really interested in. The other thing I'll mention is that this project also had a couple of outcomes for the scientists. So we established a working protocol which I optimized for isolating the hair follicle keratinocytes, which are the skin cells from the hair follicles. Hadn't been done in the lab there before, wasn't a new technique. But we've now got a standard operating procedure which can be used for the other research scientists. I also tested growing the HSEs in serum-free conditions, so without using animal products, because one of the participants was vegan. And so that was another aspect, and so it did actually show that it is feasible to do that. So it had these quasi sort of scientific potentials as well, and that's something that I'm really interested in working towards. Thank you.
Thank you.
So my name is Denise Akera. My background is in philosophy, information science. I teach interactive media design in Singapore. I'm originally from Prague, and I'm also interested in something called science technology studies. I used to work more as an art and science curator in the past, and nowadays I moved more into something which can be described as support of open science and open science advocacy. And I'm especially interested in the aspect where we can help developing countries or the global south by creating not only protocols but also laboratory tools to support science education, research, anything that has to do with science. And I think I did include a few examples. Some of them are quite contested, and we all